I've always believed in being a leader at work and in my business and being the best version of myself. And recently I asked myself, how am I leading at home? How am I showing up at home? Who am I being within the four walls of my home? If you're struggling to bring the same level of joy and passion into your relationships that you bring to work or your business, I think you'll enjoy this video. I'm going to share with you what I'm seeing more and more. The deeper I'm working on myself, the more I'm finding that all three key areas of my life, my work, my relationships, and also my wealth or my finances, they're all linked. And when I focus on my core values instead of my goals, there seems to be a harmony in all three areas. Hi friends, welcome to my channel. My name is Dr. Rani and I am a mental wealth coach and holistic psychiatrist. I help you unlock your exceptional brilliance to become the best version of yourself. Let me start by asking you this question. What are your values? And you might say, well, I value honesty, I value integrity, I value family, I value love, connection, and it could be a whole list, like 60 different things you value. And then the next question is, what are your three top core values? And recently I've been talking to my husband Suraj about values, and it seems like the three core values that it all boils down to, at least for me personally, is love, peace, and joy. And this was a very interesting conversation I had with Suraj, because then, if those are my core values, how am I honoring them in every single area of my life? How am I going about life coming from these three core values? And the answer was that at some level I felt once I achieve my goals, then I'll feel peaceful, then I'll feel more loving, and then I'll feel joy. And I had got it all wrong. The more I come from a place of love, the more I come from a place of joy, and the more I come from a place of peace in this moment, I get to achieve my goals and do what I want to do. Not coming from a place of stress and burnout, but from a place of feeling joyful, feeling satisfied, being more in the flow. And that is available to you too. Let me share with you a story called ILUAIGUB. ILUAIGUB stands for I love you and I have got your back. Now this is not something I have come up with, but this is the name of a book. And behind the book is a profound story of deep love and connection between two incredible human beings and coaches, Devon and Jess Bendison. I didn't know anything about them at all, neither Suraj, and we were tagged into a Facebook post about them running an event, and the person who tagged us said, "You would love to be in that room. You would get a lot from attending that event." Suraj said yes before me, and I went ahead. And the event was a book launch event of a very unique kind. I'm not going to go into the details, but all I can tell you is that something shifted for me during that evening with Devon and Jess. Something shifted for Suraj in that evening with Devon and Jess. It was not just a book launch. It was a celebration of love. It was an invitation to take part in creation of love in our intimate relationships. And I love playing games and I love challenges. So we said yes, absolutely, to the challenge of bringing ILUAIGUB principles or practices into our day-to-day life. So what did we do? We agreed to some practices to practice the principles of ILUAIGUB. And there has been a shift in our relationship, and it's beautiful. We have been doing 2 daily practices, once in the morning and once in the evening. And those practices are non-negotiables. And we add another practice every single week. I won't go into details in this video about those practices, but it will come in another video for sure, as I share with you my journey of transforming my intimate relationship with Suraj. And what I want to share with you here is, as a result of those practices, I feel such a deeper connection with Suraj. We start our day acknowledging each other for being in our lives, and it feels so fresh every single day. It's not a doing. Initially, my worry was that maybe this is a doing, and maybe I need to just say I love you, and even if I don't feel like it, I need to just say things to make him feel good. And actually it was not so at all, at least in my experience. Every morning, instead of just going about my day, I look forward to sharing with Suraj how much he means to me every morning. If he is at home, I'll share that directly, and if not, I will be sending him messages on the phone. In the evening time, again, no matter where we are, we will ring each other up and have a conversation, a deep conversation. And what I'm noticing more and more is that not only is my love for him expanding, I feel so much more connected to him. I feel that I know him more. And another thing I have noticed is that I feel excitement. It's like falling in love all over again. And we have been married for a long time. And even before we got married, we had been partners for a long time. And we have been childhood friends. So it's been a long time, and it has been a journey of turbulence from time to time, and we had our own hardships, and we have come a long way. But I didn't know that so much love is possible. It's just blowing my mind. And the best news is that I'm getting better at receiving acknowledgement. I'm getting better at giving acknowledgement. My listening skills have definitely improved. And I've also realized that I do have a tendency to rush and go to the next thing. And I'm finding myself slowing down to receive the gift of acknowledgement, and to give the gift of acknowledging Suraj. As if this was not good enough, guess what? It's spilling into my relationship with my daughters. Let me say one thing that you might also find yourself in. Like, if you are a mother, and if you are someone who has so much on your plates, like you are running a business, or you have a job commitment, and there's lots of chores to be done in the house, and you're juggling multiple roles, you may have experienced a sense of urgency, a sense of, I need to tell them what to do. I have been like that. I have had that experience. Like, when I speak to my children, I tell them, oh, do this, do that. And I get into the preaching mood. You should be doing this, you should be doing that. Of course, there are times when I slow down and I listen to them and I tell them how much I love them. But it is a one-off, it's not a practice. So it's really interesting that, given the practice I'm doing with Suraj, how I'm seeing a shift in my relationship with my daughters. The other day, Jenna and I were having breakfast, and I said to her, as a matter of fact, oh Jenna, make sure that after having your breakfast, you empty the dishwasher for me. And her immediate response was, oh, why do I have to do it? Why do you always ask me? Why don't you ask my sister? And this has been a conversation we had so many times. But something shifted during this conversation. She then explained to me her rationale, why she felt that this was unfair, that she did so much work, whereas her 19-year-old sister who lives in a uni, and both of them are at home at the moment because of holidays. Why her 19-year-old sister just doesn't do anything, in her view. And my initial reaction was to justify, to explain. And as I slowed down, I was able to see her side of the story. I could feel her pain. She really felt her experience. She felt there was this unfairness. And I could really see her point. I realized in that moment when Jenna felt unfair that she was doing so much, the insight I got was that I am good at asking my children to do household tasks, and I would say a thank you. But I was not really good at looking for the gold in them. What are they already doing right? What are they already doing that I could acknowledge them for? And that hit me. And I know the reason I had that realization was with the exercise I was doing with Suraj, I was starting to notice more things I could acknowledge him for. This was never the case in the past. I would be focusing on, yes, you do all those things, and I would take those for granted and say thank you. But most of the time, I would be focusing on the things that Suraj hadn't done well, or he had forgotten, or where he had said he was going to do, and then he did not keep his word. And I realized in that moment that my kids do a lot. They might be small things, and I forget to acknowledge them, or it had not even crossed my awareness about how important and or how special that is. So as I slowed down and I listened to her, and then I told her what I saw in that moment, that I was not being a loving, kind-hearted mother who saw the gold in her children, saw the things they were doing well, pointed that out to them. And I told her, I apologize that I take this for granted. I assume that it's only a small task. And so I say thank you, but I don't acknowledge you for everything you're doing on a day-to-day basis to support me, to support your sister, to support your dad, to support the dogs, to support your granddad who's also at home at the moment. There was this deeper connection between me and Jenna in that moment. She realized where I was coming from, and she felt hard. And that was a huge shift in our relationship. I'm seeing a shift in her way of being with me. I'm seeing a shift in my way of being with her. And this is not taking me away from my other goals, my health and fitness goal, my business goal. And I'm not saying this as a doing. I'm seeing this more and more about who I am being in that moment. And when I come from a place of joy, love, and peace in any moment, working on the relationship is effortless, or working on my business, or working on my health and fitness is effortless. I'm really seeing how when we approach our goals coming from a place of our core values, we can see a significant shift in all three areas, rather than a shift in one area and then the other areas are, in a way, not being nourished. This is exciting. Why am I even telling you this story? I told you about my insight. And the 3 key takeaways for me that I would like to share with you, knowing that this could also help you. The first takeaway is that when we start looking for the gold in others and we focus on the gold, our relationship improves. What do I mean by that? Like I already said, in the past, I would be looking at what the children did not do very well, or where can they improve on, because obviously I love them and I wanted to see them improve. And I was focusing more on what was missing, because I was coming from a place of lack rather than a place of abundance. I was coming from a place of fear that, oh, if they don't do it, they won't learn this. So from a place of fear rather than coming from a place of joy to really bring out their innate qualities that I just love. And as I do that more and more, our connection improves. And then when I ask from that place, hey, can I ask you to do something for me? Or when from that place, I give them a suggestion. I might be saying, hey, honey, thank you so much for doing this for me. I see that you're working hard, and can I just share with you what I see that you could improve on? They would take it much better, right? So I'm seeing that more and more, that as I'm coming from the place of joy and love and peace in the moment, and I'm sharing something, Jenna is receiving it beautifully. This is saying, right? Whatever we focus on grows. Absolutely. If we focus on lack, if we focus on the negatives, we see more and more of the negatives that we want to fix, or think we need to fix. On the other hand, when we focus on what's already positive, what's already so beautiful, that grows. And from that place, our relationship grows. We feel more loved and connected. We start to notice what they're doing or not doing anymore that we absolutely love, rather than focusing on what are they doing or not doing that we absolutely hate. And don't get me wrong, it's not about false compliments or false acknowledgement. It's about really digging for the gold. Sometimes it might be buried very, very deep under the surface, and we might have to do some work, some detective work, to just bring it to the surface. The second takeaway for me is to practice acknowledging your loved ones on a regular basis. And this actually is one of the practices Suraj and I am doing. This is our nighttime routine. So around 10 o'clock in the evening, we share with each other what we have noticed about them in the last 24 hours that we want to acknowledge them for. If I have been paying attention, or if I have been thinking about Suraj and everything he does, I definitely can think of at least 3 things I would love to acknowledge them for in the last 24 hours. And the same is happening with Jenna. The other day, I said, hey Jenna, I would like to just tell you 3 things I would like to acknowledge you for that I've seen in you in the last 24 hours. And then it was so beautiful. I noticed so many things, and I had to reduce it down to 3 things only. So that was fun. And I could see it in her eyes. She was so touched, because they were not big things. They were not huge things. But she knew that it came from a place of love. She realized that her mom had noticed those small things. And this is something that I would have noticed, and I would have skipped all over it. I would have skipped over the goal But my daily practice of acknowledging Suraj for 3 things I have noticed about him in the last 24 hours have really grown my muscle of noticing for the goal, and also articulating it from the heart. The third realization or the third takeaway is that our loved ones give us feedback that we don't always want to hear. And this is because our ego gets bruised. Our ego wants to be right. And I know that this has not been easy for me, and it still is not easy, and will need more practice. But when I get feedback from my children or from Suraj, it makes me feel uncomfortable. I'm talking about anything that I perceive as negative, and I might just get defensive in the past. And I still have the urge to get defensive because, like I said, the ego doesn't like to be bruised, right? But this is where our growth edge is. When we can slow down to really listen to their judgment about us without judging them in return, and really look at what can I learn from this? Where's my growth edge in this? We will have breakthroughs. Something will shift in us. This is not a doing thing at all, like I keep saying. This is a being thing. Being is everything. This is what Steve Hardison, the ultimate coach, says. And I've talked about Steve Hardison in one of my previous videos. If you haven't watched that episode, I would highly recommend you watch that. All of the 3 things I've shared with you so far, all of the 3 takeaways for me and also possibly for you, is so much easier when we come from our core values, when we always have our core values in mind. It's easy to say, oh, I love this, this, and that, and bring it down to how am I showing up in this area of my life, given this is my core value. If I say authenticity is one of my core values, and I can see how I am being authentic when it comes to my work, what about when it comes to the 4 walls of your house? Are you being authentic? If you say openness and kind-heartedness or love is my core value and it's going well in your relationship, how is that when it comes to work? How is that when you are with your clients or your business or creating wealth? Or how are you when it comes to your health and fitness? Food for thought, right? I will repeat this again. When we prioritize one area and really go deep in that area, whether that's our health and fitness, whether that's our relationships, whether that's our business or wealth creation, in order for us to go deep, we will need to explore being. We will need to come from a place of a higher version of ourselves, getting in touch with the core values. And when we do that, it affects all the other areas of our life. I hope you found this episode thought-provoking. I would really love to hear your insights, your takeaways from watching this. If you like the content of this video, don't forget to press like and subscribe. Now you might be thinking, wow, Rani, it's great what you're saying, but sometimes I feel that there are so many challenges, so many problems in the context of work, in the context of relationships, and in the context of my health. How do I come from a place of my core values? In the next video, I will be exploring the concept of the circle of influence and how to expand that and reduce the circle of concern. Make sure you watch out for that video. Until next time, take care.